Can you hear that when it does that?
Yeah, I can hear it say
Eh,
recording in progress. Like I'm not editing any of this, so that's
I
just
know. I know you never do. The raw, uncut version.
well, you can trust me. But
Can I?
I don't know. We're doing disturbing behavior today. Jacob, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I get to make an endless amount of videos about this movie.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I never touch the product, so I have not seen any of your other disturbing behavior videos thus far. Cause so I don't know what has been said thus far about this movie. I don't know what has been covered, so I trust you to stop me. I
Well,
trust
we
you to
can just
stop me if you've heard this one before.
you could say so much about this film. No, I want okay, you're on my wavelength with these movies.
Yeah.
The first one is just me solo being like, "This movie's amazing! Oh my god!" and like playing a cover of the Flagpole Sitta song.
I was
And
gonna bring up that scene.
I played that song in one of the videos, and then the other one I showed Justin from Style of Substance the movie. Well, in the first video, I at least say I'm going to show all of my collaborators, all of my friends, this movie. So just get ready. I just showed them to you at separate times, so we get more videos. I think you could talk forever about this movie. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Um, it's got like everything that I like talking about in a movie. Like
Yes.
it's pretty, like I've said, tailor made to my specific sensibilities and tastes. Like it's very much so the perfect your cult boyfriend film. Um, it doesn't mean it's a perfect film, but like I have so much fun with this movie, and yeah, everything I like to see, everything I like to discuss is somewhere within this movie. It gets compared to The Faculty a lot, so I wanted to do this
I
one with
noticed
you
that.
specifically. It came out the same year, so
Did it?
yeah.
Okay.
I wanted, so I talked. You and I did The Faculty before, and I wanted to get your. I think The Faculty is a better film, but
Yeah,
Disturbing
I'd agree.
Disturbing Behavior just has like here, and I know you like the X Files too.
Yeah, yeah, I saw it's the one of the guys that works on the X-Files
Yeah, and
network.
Mark Snow did the music
Yeah.
too.
Although
Um,
I know he almost took his name off this movie.
yeah, and I feel like such a I don't know. I feel like such a bootlicker because I'm like the studio version's amazing. I love the studio version so
I mean,
much. It's so dark and pessimistic and cynical and like mean.
it's also fragmented as fuck. Like
Yeah, but it works for
you can tell like some connective tissue was chopped out. There's one
yeah, but I
part that
like
stood
that.
out. There's one part that stood out to me where I don't remember what the preceding scene was. I think it was just some normal dialogue plot progression scene, but it immediately just cuts to James Marsden running away through the woods
Yeah,
from the blue ribbons. I was like, where was he going? It was like
I was on
is it
board. I think the studio put together a fine film, and like these are all studio projects. So I mean,
also
I don't.
speaking of flagpoles instead of that sequence, they like chop the chorus and the verse together into one like
Yeah,
30-second music fragment that ends as soon as they leave.
it's perfect. It's
It's like
perfect.
they expected the score to be there, but then they didn't have a score, so they just had to roll with
There's not a flaw in this film. I swear to you.
it.
I promise you. I want you to share uh, right at the beginning. Let's get this out of the way. You messaged me at the moment where you saw why I picked this
Oh
film.
yeah, yeah. I saw Katie Holmes. I said I realized why you picked this movie now.
My
What
God.
was the song it plays for her? I forget.
Oh, don't put me on the spot like that.
Oh
That was
no, it's okay if you don't remember. I just remember it plays
whenever I
some.
see her, I just hear the harps in heaven. I don't
Yeah,
know. It
you
was
just
like a that song she's actually in the music video for the official. I should have covered that song 'cause I guess that was written specifically for Disturbing Behavior.
the idea that a
Um,
movie was or a song was written for this movie.
it at least seemed like it was like she's in the music video.
Fair
Um,
enough.
and what an introduction! And Katie Holmes, yes, huge fan of Katie Holmes. Love Katie Holmes. Um, and I wanted to get wanted to get the male gaze out of the way right away. Katie Holmes, my God, love you. Okay, now let's get down to it. What did you think of the film, Jacob?
That was fun. That was fun. It early on, because I never fucking heard of this movie before. I had suspicions in the first act that this was going to be another Cherry Falls, where the whole thing was going to feel like it was made by some guy straight out of film school on like $20. But then like the further along goes, I thought, oh no, there's a budget here. They're doing this is a studio product, and I don't know. I always enjoy James Marsden showing up. It's a weird thing of mine where I can name probably like 3 movies I've seen with James Marsden off the top of my head. But I still, whenever I see his face, I think, hey, it's James Marsden.
James Marsden is so underappreciated. Like it's hard to get people to praise him, but he does these like thankless roles. He's always so good, but
He's
he's
in
never the focal point. Except for Gossip. Like watch Gossip and Marsden actually is the coolest person in Gossip and he's the
he's
star.
he's
But
in
normally
Sonic.
he's like he's like the guy next to the cool guy. Like
He's in Sonic, and he's in that animated rabbit in the Real World movie, and they do the same shot in both of them of James Marsden driving a car, and you have this animated character in the passenger seat, and he has this look on his face like, what the fuck is happening to my life?
that's been his career. He's next to these like extremely animated characters, either like literally or
I
figuratively. How are you going to stand out next to Nick Stahl at his best and like Katie
I
Holmes at her hottest? I don't know how you're going to stand out, James. It's
I
hard.
did I did make a note that I think what it is about him is that I expect at some point in the next like say 20 years he's gonna have like his Bryan Cranston moment where he suddenly
Yeah,
has like this breakout role when he's in his fit, because dude's almost 50.
he
He's
aged
gonna
so well. He's still
yeah, he
so
did.
handsome.
But
Oh
he's
my
gonna star in a
god.
movie with like Ethan Hawke or some shit, and
Like
it's gonna blow him up, and he's gonna get an Oscar, and then he'll just ride that wave. I mean, I'm hoping that'll happen, but
oh, I hope so too. James
but no,
Marsden deserves it. He has the talent and everything. It's just
he also
he's in
looks like
thankless
he's
roles. Like his
fucking.
role in Westworld is incredible, but he's far from the most interesting character. He's like the most abused character on Westworld. It's ridiculous.
He also
Yeah.
looks like he's also, I believe he was, not to dox myself, but like my age in this movie, and he's supposed to
Oh,
be playing like a high schooler.
yeah.
He
He,
has like this chiseled chin, and he's like sitting in a classroom full of people that actually look 17. Which is one of my
that's
favorite
wonderful.
tropes. I always love that. But no,
Par
not
for
to
the
knock it.
course
I
for
think he
Nick
does
Kroll.
great. I think he's
Par
really
for the
endearing in the role.
wonderful, wonderful.
Nick, his name is Nick Stahl, right? Nick Stahl.
Yes,
Yeah, he by far my favorite part of this movie. I don't know
he
what
has the
his
juiciest role too.
and I don't know what his accent is in this movie, but I love it.
It's
I
like Beatnik. It's like
Yeah, it's this weird rhythmic thing. It's super interesting. I don't know if that's his natural voice, but I love listening to his voice in
so
this
good.
movie.
This capitalizes on every great part of Nick Stahl as a screen performer because he does
Yeah,
that
he's really
rebellious
expressive.
thing. Yeah, that rebellious thing so fucking well. But when I think of Nick Stahl, I think of Bully and Sin City. I think of him
I
as a
forgot he's in that.
villainous fucking cretin. And he does that. He gets the turn into a villainous creep in this movie and does it just as well as he did the rebellious shit. He's like the Mercutio of this movie. He gets to set everything up. He gets to like go on like a Queen Mab monologue, but instead they're at the calf and he's showing you the social order of the high school. He just
Yeah, I
gets
love
the
that scene.
center of attention, and then like Tybalt in the form of fucking Caldecott gets to like remove him, like basically kill him off, all that personality, and then everything takes a much darker and more tragic tone till he get like
Yeah.
to the ending,
On
which the ending is somehow triumphant, and yet all of these
the
kids are
most depressing. Yeah, so many children fucking died.
and the
We're
studio said, no, we don't want the ending with like some humor in it about Nick Stahl, about Gavin wanting to meet
to meet
Trent
Trent
Reznor.
Reznor.
We don't want that. We want him to go and prey on inner city school children.
Yeah,
That's what we
that was a
want.
weird arc. I didn't know what was going on with
I
that, but
prefer it so much. It's so much scarier. And they bring back the music from the beginning where the dude's getting head from the girl and he snaps her neck like as that
I
music
need
like pulsates and like thrives. They
because he
bring back
needs
the
his
same
fluids. He needs his fluids.
mutilate this fluid boy.
No,
That's
he's a really
about Cherry
expressive
Falls.
actor.
It starts the same as Cherry Falls, essentially.
Yeah, again, like it had that thing where it's like, man, this was definitely cheap to shoot in this area. But then they got some crazy lighting rigs, and they have they throw a truck off a cliff. It's good fun. It's good fun.
Oh, and
No, what?
nothing.
I was gonna say I just love Nick Stahl in this movie. I think he's a really charismatic actor. He's got a lot of personality in this movie. It's really interesting. It's really interesting. I love his introduction scene, or like the scene where he introduces the rest of the school. I think
Seriously,
I
that's
I
the most electrifying scene in the film.
I think I noted that I wish I went to this school because it's like it's the weird most of these movies like have like weird hierarchy systems like they try to introduce, except in this school like 90% of the students seem to listen to The Cure, and then like there's this small minority of students that are just bougie rich kids, whereas in any other movie it would be like really distributed, but it's like no, everyone at the school is just a goth kid for some reason.
They're just
I
slowly
think
becoming pod people.
I think Nixel talks about how he listens to black metal or something. It's really he
Drug of
likes black
choice,
metal
what you got?
because like they
And
show all
then
these clicks, but then you never see any of those clicks again. It's just the
no,
the weird freaky goth kids and the blue ribbons.
we just hang out with the freaks all week, which is just Gavin, UV, and Rachel, so far as I can tell, and
He
Steve.
also has my favorite line, which is keggers can't be choosers.
Nick Stahl is when he goes to the yogurt shop and finds like Steve there, and he's like, "We're at a shop, huh? Shoppy. What the fuck's a shoppy?" Like I can't get over that line. It's so good. The place I'm like, artificially elevating a yogurt shop by putting a double P and an E at the end. I love it. It's good. It's good. Good kid.
Good
He even gets
kid.
to have like a Kevin Williamson style scene where he's talking about because he finds out his parents like sold him out to Caldecott, and he has a gun in his pocket, and he's like, I'm gonna go home and kill my teacher, kill all my students, and kill my parents. And I'm like, hell
Yeah,
yeah,
that was a really fucked up scene.
yeah.
It
This
did
is like,
remind me of the scene in the faculty where they just cap the teacher.
yes,
Yeah,
he
similarly
goes
really
like
twisted.
1,000 with it, yeah. But in the
Really,
faculty,
really
they
dark.
all spoilers for the faculty. Don't watch ahead if you haven't seen the faculty. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In the faculty, they all come back to life.
Yeah, there's no actual consequences in the
And here
faculty.
they all died.
Du-
And the studio said, nope, there's no, because in the original ending, Gavin is reprogrammed in his final moments and like comes back to
yeah,
being Gavin. The studio's like, no, no, no. What if it was just pure fucking darkness and like they never come back?
I literally wrote it in my thing. Like I wrote, "Holy fucking shit, they killed the kids!" Like
And it's filmed triumphantly, like a great moment for William Sadler as the janitor going, hey, teacher, leave those kids
those
alone.
kids
And he's
alone. And he
sacrificing
says,
himself by killing a dozen 15 to 16-year-old kids.
and then doesn't James Marsden kill the guidance counselor and say, "Be the ball," and then he
See the ball.
throws him off a cliff.
Science is God.
What a
Like so
weird goddamn
much, so
movie.
much. But that scene that I call it a Kevin Williamson style scene with the gun is because it obviously like foreshadows and eerily seems to be predictive cinema of like Columbine school shooters.
It's a
Coming
really
in and
twisted
calling.
scene, yeah, that they try to
Yeah.
decontextualize as much as possible so that it'll get through the censors, but like you can't ignore it.
And not only is like Gavin's monologue going through the hierarchies of the cafeteria and the school system like reminds me of Mercutio's little speech about Queen Mab, which still no one understands to this day. But that final scene, like how dark Gavin gets, it does remind me of a plague on both houses. Like the
Hmm.
final Mercutio scene that's like so dark and like kind of sinister because Gavin's kind of fucking desperate and sinister in that scene. He's gonna go home and kill his parents and his
Yeah,
teeth. Like it's still fucked up.
it's really dire. It's really
And that's
really
the last
dire.
time we really see him outside of a DVD that
Yeah,
they leave in the smoke room.
it's his Jennifer Tilly thing where the movie's just not the same without him. Although
But
I
he
think
has to change because him as a
yeah,
villain, since Nick Stahl is so good at being a villain, like,
yeah,
oh my
yeah.
god, oh fuck.
Super good, super good. I loved every scene he came back in when he knees James Marsden in the chest.
Right. And the only thing better for me than just like looking at Katie Holmes is seeing her act, and I thought she was really cool here. She got to be it's as the most rebellious she's ever gotten to be in a film, and I think
Mhm.
that she had a lot of fun with that. She has the most intense scene of the film for me, the one where she's that one jock who's obsessed with her, corners her
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the
yeah.
boiler room and
Yeah.
like sexually assaults her and stuff, and screams like "Why not?" Because like, in his brainwashed brain, like he doesn't understand why he's sexually turned on, and he also doesn't it doesn't compute when
Yeah,
she says no.
it's like this, unrestrained libido, just
Yep. And this is the
yeah,
kind of film that allows Katie Holmes to bludgeon him to death with a steel pipe for it at the
yeah,
end of the movie.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I like it so
killing
much.
the abuser. It's good shit, it's good shit. She just tears him fucking apart. Although, I even then, though, it's not a very, like, triumphant scene just because it's just profoundly fucked up on all accounts. Like,
No,
he,
for
like,
real.
attempted sexual assault of her, and then she has to murder him with a lead pipe. And like this student is just line up pile of his own blood. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
I
This is
think it's
not a very
awesome.
fun time. This is a very dark movie, like very shockingly dark movie. Even on, like, it's very dark. It's
It's
very
pretty
sad.
damn relentless, but I love it.
Yeah,
It's so good. I swear to God, I'm like obsessed with this. Well, clearly I'm obsessed with this
yeah,
movie.
I know.
It's not.
There's gonna be like the cumulative like content you're putting out about is gonna be run longer than the movie itself.
Oh yeah, already by this point, yes. It's just to be frank and honest, like to me, this is like Chris Carter of the X Files. It's like the X Files meets I Know What You Did Last Summer. It is
Yeah,
Chris Carter meets like Kevin Williamson, but
yeah.
I don't like. Uh, wait, let me finish that first thought. Let me try to be a coherent film
I see where you're
person.
going, but go keep it going,
Uh,
keep it going.
because I'm going to lead into something that you can speak a lot more about than I can. But I, this movie is not on par with any Williamson project of this time period. Like Dawson's Creek, Scream 2, I Know You Did Last Summer, The Faculty, all blow this out of the water. Like uh, Kevin Williamson was a much more a deeply postmodern, and I think I don't know. I think there was a lot more sophistication to his work, and there was class to like Kevin Williamson's script as
Yeah.
well. But this, the X Files, there's class, but there's also B movie trashiness to it, which
Oh
is
no,
just
I but
irresistible.
I think we've talked about this off the air, but my favorite thing about the X-Files is just how juvenile it is.
Yes, and we get that
Like
kind of we get that
like how
delinquency here in
uh,
disturbing behavior. It's like they're about to make like profound like Williamson-esque postmodern statement about media or about like social hierarchies, but then they're like, yeah, but
no, it's
wouldn't
all
it be
about the
funny?
genre movement. Yeah.
Yeah, if we just did that instead. and, and I'm like, I kind of respect that a little. I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
I'm
no,
glad
I do
this
too.
one exists in this world. Like, this is a pure genre movie. There's nothing purely, like, Scream
No,
is not
it's
pure slasher. Like, this is a pure
yeah.
sci-fi movie.
It's definitely going through the motions on purpose, like by design.
Mhm.
By design, I definitely think so. It has that kind of X-Files thing of like people died, but it's all kind of wrapped up and no one's gonna ask questions by the end effect. It's yeah.
Absolutely, and you can speak.
No
Probably
one
you can
no one
elaborate on this.
makes what or go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
You can elaborate on this a lot more, in probably a much more interesting way than I can. When I watched it with Justin, Justin pointed out I don't like David Lynch, so I don't really pay attention to David Lynch's work. Justin pointed out just how many nods and references there are to David Lynch in this film.
It's
Um,
funny you say that. I actually just like an hour ago finished watching Lost Highway again. Yeah, I was watching Lost Highway today. I don't know what did Justin notice? I didn't catch any of it, but
it's one of my favorite scenes in Disturbing Behavior when Lorna, the cheerleading blonde, goes over to like Steve's house and goes crazy because James Marsden's hot, and she's like, I'm attracted now," and then she
oh
smashes her
yeah,
head
yeah.
into like a mirror and just refuses.
Yeah. Uh I
What do you think? Do you
guess.
think
I
that
guess. I don't know. That seems a little vague. I can see what Justin's getting at. I don't know if I'd compare that to David Lynch,
You know what?
myself.
I respect you more, so I'm gonna say that there's no Lynch in this, and it's a
I
perfect
say this
film.
as a David Lynch fan, but on the
I say this
grounds
as a
I
friend of Justin. You're probably right, and Justin's wrong.
well, I don't know. It's I don't know. No, that seems a little vague
It
for
was like
me.
the end of
I
Twin
can
Peaks or
respect it.
something, where like
Oh no,
I
that
don't know.
does. I mean, that does happen in Twin Peaks. Yeah, it happens in the last episode of the original run of Twin Peaks. Dale is like evil Dale now after he comes out of the lodge and he smashes his face against a mirror like that. Yeah, that because it's like an evil double of Kyle MacLachlan. That does happen. But I don't know if it's that specific.
What
But
influences do you see here, apart from the obvious like Stepford Wives and
yeah, I was gonna say
Body
mostly just the
Snatchers?
usual suspects of like high school movies, like John Hughes high school movies, and I would also argue a myriad sci-fi, invader movies. Although obviously this isn't actually an alien movie, but it kind of interacts with the
It does.
tropes of that genre. I think the implication is that you're supposed to. It's the X Files thing where you're supposed to presume it's just aliens until told otherwise, and eventually you're told otherwise. But
And
it's
I gotta say that Mark Snow score is
yeah,
kind of beautiful. It reminds me of not
yeah,
just
it's
the X
good.
Files, but like a bit phantasmy, like a bit of the old
Yeah, I know what you
minimalist,
mean.
like simplistic stuff
I
at its
guess
best. There are a lot of parts where they just do at near the end of the movie they just do guitar stings while people like get hit or punched, but in the beginning where it does that simple piano motif of like
hmm,
like it's beautiful.
I
Mark
guess it
Snow, awesome.
I guess it reminds me more than anything of like the like Poverty Row, like Bela Lugosi movies or like Boris Karloff movie. Like
Right,
my
right.
wife died, so I put her brain in a tank type shit. Just on a slightly larger scale.
Yeah, it's almost as if this script had been like in development for a long time, and then Kevin Williamson's like hyper specific brand of postmodern misfits allowed for this movie to be made in a certain context. I feel that's what it feels
Yeah,
like. That doesn't it fits in a certain way, it especially fits into the Williamson world, given that Katie Holmes is Kevin's like ultimate muse, like being the
mm,
star of Dawson's Creek and everything. Like it's
mm.
still definitely within this vein. Um, and so far as the ones that aren't involved with Kevin Williamson, I like it as much as Urban Legend, and I think it's better than Halloween H2O. Like I still think it's like very, very, very good, like on its own merit.
Yeah, I definitely like this more than Halloween H2O, and not as much as Urban Legend. Honestly, Urban Legend is probably my favorite we've covered from the '90s.
Well,
But
it's
yeah,
interesting because Urban Legend and Disturbing Behavior are almost films that like happen to be in this postmodern wave, and
Y-
like it's almost like
yeah,
fake, like forced inserts of postmodernism into these movies.
yeah. I think it's been a while because I think it was like our second or third video, so I don't remember exactly what I said. But I recall thinking that Urban Legend wasn't actually that political or like didn't have that much
Yeah,
of like not to describe again, like it's one of my favorite slasher movies I watched
it's
in the past
awesome.
like 2 years. I adore that movie, but mostly for like how well it goes through its movements. I don't think there's like I think at best like the ideas in the text are very kind of ambiguous or kind of
Absolutely.
vague, which is not a complaint. I don't
Urban
care,
Legend has
but
more in common with like a Black Christmas to me than it does with a Scream.
I can see that. I can see that. Although I think Black Christmas is pretty intense.
No, I love
Thematically.
Black Christmas. I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
mean like the mood and vibe of it. But
Yeah, I can see
I
what you
do
mean.
think it's funny that the three I just named, Halloween H2O starring Michelle Williams, Urban Legend featuring Joshua Jackson, Disturbing Behavior, Katie Holmes. That's three of the four main Dawson's Creek casts. I just want to point that out.
For the record, I have not watched Dawson's Creek.
For the record, you would love it.
Not
For the record.
almost entirely to spite Zach, but
No, you would love it. It's
no,
brilliant. It's
I see it on like streaming sites. I keep scrolling because I'm like, nah, that would make Zach too happy. I have to be
Imagine if Kevin
spiteful.
Williamson couldn't kill off his kids when they got too like annoying, complicated. Had to like deal with them. It's good.
Although,
Dawson's Creek is brilliant. But Disturbing Behavior is so fun. But it has a lot of things that I love talking about. You always bring up there's like the one death in these slash
That's
movies that
just
we cover that just feel so
twisted.
tragic. And I feel so tragic about Nick Stahl turning. Like there's such a deep loss. Like his reveal is filmed so wonderfully when we first see Gavin with his hair all done, like, and his little
Yeah.
sweater vest on. The music kicks in and is actually composed and filmed really well by David Nutter. And it's just like Nick Stahl could be so sinister, so give off the most strong fascist overtones with just a smile, and
Yeah.
like there's nothing scarier than Nick Stahl like reaching his hand out to you, like in that mode. It's just fascinating to me.
No, he's definitely the most like I've genuinely upsetting to see what happens to him because his family sells him out. He plots to murder them in retribution and he doesn't get away with it, so he loses his identity and then he dies.
Yeah, and he was abandoned by Steve. And
Essentially dies, depending on the
yes,
cut.
he dies.
Even in the studio cut, he like for all intents and purposes is dead. So
Yeah, because there's no coming back in the studio cut. There's no coming back from being programmed. And the original ending, uh, it is pretty funny because like UV, like he ambushes them with a gun because he's about to leave on the
he
boat,
kills him.
and UV like turns and shoots him. And the funniest part of it is like it's like bang bang bang, and like when Gavin comes back like from being reprogrammed, he's lying there like 3 times, UV? You had to shoot me 3 fucking times? This hurts so funny. I guess I'll
I
never get to meet Trent Reznor.
I love you. Such a funny dude. What's he from? I feel like I recognize him from some shit. I
You'd
couldn't
have to
figure out.
look him up. I'm not sure.
I
Do you have
tried
the
and I didn't see anything.
do you
So
have the cast in front of you?
I can pull it up. Yeah.
I've been too
I
lazy to do this. Is Ethan Embry his brother?
who
Steve's. I've been too lazy to do this. Is Ethan Embry in the
oh,
movie?
you mean like who his brother was in the movie?
Yeah. Is Ethan
I don't.
Embry in this movie?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, Ethan Embry. Yeah, he's in this.
He he's another relic of the late 90s. Like Can't Hardly Wait and Empire Records. I thought that was him. I don't know why he was in this movie. He was in it for like 3 seconds total. I love that Steve has flashbacks of his brother in a deeply postmodern way, at least. They're all cinematic, they're all like clips of home movies. And the only line we hear his brother say is like, "Don't worry about the spiders in your bed when there's snakes in the garden," which I think is brilliantly mirrored by Caldicott's daughter at the mental hospital when she's like, "I'm gonna try to remember it this time. I didn't remember it on the other videos." It's something about like beware the musical creatures singing in the flower garden or some bullshit. Like that's
Mm,
what she's saying like over and over, and I think it mirrors that completely. Obviously, being no, don't worry about the snakes in the gardens when there's spiders in your bed.
mm,
So like Steve is having to like work through the trauma of losing a brother
mhm.
before you can actually deal with the larger problems of fitting in or society or anything like that. And I think that it's a well written script. Like you said, it goes through the motions. It is a genre film, but
No, it's pretty. It's pretty smart though. I think it's pretty well rounded because again, like I took issue with Cherry Falls despite its insanity, just because I was like I don't know, this feels pretty
the thing about Cherry Falls
rote,
is,
but
yeah, Cherry Falls will forever be that movie we reference of, especially when
I don't know why it's not that interesting of a movie, but we keep going back to it. Maybe it is interesting than I give it credit for. I don't know.
it is. It's very
I
interesting.
think
It's
it's
just
just a good benchmark to refer to.
yeah, yeah. Cherry Falls
But
is just I don't know what's a joke and what isn't, and
yeah,
the
that
most
was
problematic part of the film I don't think is a joke. That's the
yeah.
problem.
I agree. I agree. I that's why I think this probably shares more with Urban Legend, where it
I
just
honestly wouldn't talk
inhabits.
about Cherry Falls at all if like Brittany Murphy wasn't the star of it like back then. So
By the way, I figured it out. The actor that plays UV is he's in Final Destination. I don't know who he plays in it, but he plays a character in Final Destination one. Plays Todd Wagner.
Todd, he got hung
Yeah.
in the bathroom. That's fucking Todd.
Oh, Todd.
That's Todd.
Apparently. Yeah, that's Todd. Yeah, I'm looking at a picture of him. That's Todd. Yeah,
Oh
that's
my
where we know him.
God, you
I
just
knew
blew
he
my
looked
mind.
familiar. I knew he
Todd's
looked
brother's in this
familiar.
movie too as an extra. He was on the show Roswell. He played his brother in Final Destination. He's like an extra in this movie. I saw him a couple times with his spiky hair, hanging out with the mechanic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. I know who you mean. I saw him too.
But God, you just blew my mind that that's Todd Wagner.
I I spent so much of the movie trying to figure out where I recognize him, and I think I tried looking it up. I think I just scrolled past the Final Destination. It didn't register in my head because I was like, I don't see anything. I don't know
He
where
had
this
the
is from.
harshest death in that movie. Wow.
No, it's quite horrifying actually. It's quite brutal, but
Good actor.
good actor. I don't know. He was pretty into it here. Makeup and all, you know. There's one of those weird hats that doesn't have a rim on it at all, but it has
It
like the
probably had the
buttons at the
wig
back.
attached to the hat, like one of those. And then
Uh,
fucking
real
Gavin going,
peckerhead.
"Oh, that guy."
Peckerhead, yeah.
That was a fun scene. That
Hmm.
was also a Cherry Fallsy scene, so I can see how you can.
Yeah, yeah, I
Wes
don't
didn't
know. It
go
was
that route
something
for
about the
you.
vibe. It was something about the vibe. I was like, this
Well,
feels kind
that
of
scene
cherry
reminds me
ballsy.
of like the first Jay Moore classroom scene of Cherry Falls,
Yeah,
and yeah,
because they
yeah,
also talk about poetry in that one. Or I think they were talking about Shakespeare or something in that one, whereas in this one they were talking about poetry. But yeah, same concept, same
exactly.
notion. No,
God,
this we
Gavin
talk about
going.
how cohesive this movie is now, but like earlier we were talking about just how chaotic it is. But I think it's just because like the broad strokes are pretty good. Like they're pretty solid. It's just some of the it feels like scenes are missing at a couple
Yeah, a
points.
good
Is
20
really all it
minutes of it are
is.
missing.
It,
Like,
that, it that's all it is. It's just like
like
sometimes like you'll move to a scene and you're like, I don't know how we got here. I don't know what the context is. I don't know if this is like a week later or not, or like a few hours. It can be
I'm
confusing at
okay with that.
points.
Like, I like this fractured film that we have. It makes the film
Oh,
feel more chaotic to me. Like, the part that stands out to me the most about maybe there should have been an extra scene here is when Gavin, like when Gavin basically dies and becomes
yeah,
brainwashed Gavin. Um,
we don't see it as
Rachel is like really sad, and and Steve's like, yeah, Gavin was like a brother to you, huh? Yeah. I'm like, really? You seem to fucking hate him, like
each
in the
other.
two scenes you shared.
There's also a missing sex scene between these two minors that was cut from the movie.
It's
Or
okay.
I should say ostensible minors because they're both like 25 while they were filming, but like
See, so maybe the studio put out the better version. Not
yeah,
that
it's
I
the
didn't
slumber
look up the
party
Katie
massacre
Holmes.
thing.
I did look up the Katie Holmes sex scene. We're not missing a whole lot. Fine.
Jesus. I was in it more for James Marsden, but okay.
We're not missing much there either. Um, it didn't have to be there. And James Marsden would have worked fast.
No, I'm guessing most of the cut footage is just context stuff.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
I like
know.
not having it too much. It makes this Cradle Bay place seem so unordinary. Like things
Yeah,
just
it's pretty
move faster
bizarre.
here. Like
It's pretty bizarre. It feels like a Twin Peaks. Not like in a I think this is similar to David Lynch way. I mean like in a yeah, all right, fine, Justin.
but what is it? The studio cut, that's pretty razor. I like it. That's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah. I know what you mean.
But I
Uh,
don't normally side with the studio. It's just when I'm dealing with something that's already a studio project, it just would have been like more digestible. And I like that the studio thought that like we don't need to understand context. We just need to think that the world is a fucked up place and that there's no hope for change once they get you.
yeah, this is we didn't even really talk the scene Justin fixated on with the David Lynch thing. That's a pretty dark scene. I was
Yeah,
incredibly uncomfortable watching
that's
that
why it's
scene.
so stuck in my head. Bad, wrong.
Well, because like she's not in control. Like it's horrifying. It's horrifying. It's quite horrifying.
And I love that Lorna gets to be like,
And she
more than just this
dies.
like vacant, like almost like literally vacant because she's brainwashed, but like vacant sex object of Gavin or of the viewer. I like that she gets to be kind of the creepiest thing about the movie is that scene. Like,
Yeah, because it contextualizes it. Yeah, that's the scene that makes the part where all the kids die horrifying because
yep.
you know they're still in there. They're not like actually gone. They can perceive what's happening. They're just blindly like having it happen to them, and then they die for it.
James Marsden was so hot that it broke her. Like,
He's so weird. Like, dude's got like a chiseled chin, and he looks. You never see him as far as I can remember, like with his shirt off or anything, but he has like that body type where I'm like, he's walking around his high school. I'm like, that dude is fucking jacked under there. I
yeah.
know he is. I think it was because this might have been around the time he was like, when did X-Men come out? This might have been like around the
I think
time he was.
2000, so like 2 years later.
He might have been gearing up for it. I don't know. He might have been jacked under there. He certainly looks like he's like, I'm like, no, that guy can definitely, bench press under there, but they're trying to hide it as best they can because they want him to look normal, like a normal teenager.
And Nick Stahl looks indecently skinny. Like, he looks as skinny as I
Oh
am.
no,
Like,
he fits the role. Like he looks like I'm like, all right, this dude's a stoner high schooler. I buy that. I buy that completely. But same thing even with Kitty Holmes. I buy it. I buy it. But
oh, I buy it completely. Yeah,
he,
that good,
yeah.
that good
Although
late '90s midriff.
yeah, I should clarify though that like I like that James Marsden is so out of place. Maybe just
Well,
because
it
I think
fits
he's a
because his
charisma.
character is. He's a new person.
Yeah, I too feel like a jacked 25-year-old when I was moving to a new high school. I felt really out of place, and that made me feel like a jacked 25-year-old.
Good God. And Caldecott, Bruce Greenwood was really good as the villain. He's used
Yeah, he
sparingly
was.
in
He was.
most films, but he's good. Good, sinister, very X-Files villain. Very, very
Yeah. Oh,
X-Files.
100%. Actually, I was thinking that during his introduction scene, which is I think where they're like, "Hey, we know you. What happened to you? We want you to know. Like, well, we're here to help you if you need it." I was like, "Oh, this fucking smoking man, motherfucker." Yeah, it
What
feels
did
like
you
X
think of
Files.
that brainwashing process? Yeah, he is a smoking
Oh,
man.
the eye printing thing. That was like the Minority Report. I like
Yeah.
did like that
And
was great. That was
they're
great.
just shown images of, like, I guess,
Yeah, they do
Americans,
the
like,
actually it's more Clockwork Orange. Yeah, they're doing they
yeah,
pry their eyes open and show them images and try to condition them. It's just
images
instead of
of
like
like suburban American
yeah,
experimental
it's
drugs.
actually kind of funny. Instead of like ultra violence, like horrible violent things, they're showing them like tree of
They're like,
life
"You're
footage.
great. You're gonna succeed. Look at you and how attractive you are. Get the shit away from me. I don't want to think that way." Again, I love it.
No,
Oh
it's
my
good shit.
God.
It's good
And
shit. Also, the mental hospital scene. We talked
I
about the exit, but not the scene itself. Yeah, it felt like a Saw scene or something.
yeah, I
Like
love the mental hospital scene. It reminded me of, like, yeah, I can tell House on
or more
Haunted Hill
like a
about to come
hostile. It
out.
just feels very 2000s. It feels very 2000s,
Yeah,
like the
I
whole
was
like
thinking House on Haunted Hill
industrial,
for sure. Like,
very like industrial, dripping water
yeah,
and pipes shit. Yeah, it has that vibe. It has that vibe for sure.
because I mean, the late '90s, early 2000s conception of mental hospitals was just a fucking just an I don't even know the proper words for it. It's just it was House on Haunted
Evil.
Hill and this. It was just insane and it was hellish. It
Yeah,
was wonderful.
well, yeah,
Oh
pretty
well,
much.
fine. Yeah, okay.
But
Whatever. That mental hospital scene was awesome. But what about William Sadler? Who told William Sadler to do a very bad Burgess Meredith impression for, like,
who was William Sadler in this,
the
dude?
janitor, the maintenance
I
guy?
loved him. No, the Slaughterhouse 5 dude. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
great.
I
That was,
love him too, but, like,
do you
William
read
Sadler is
Kurt
so
Vonnegut?
cool. It's just who told him to go, like, you like Vonnegut?
You
You like
like
Vonnegut,
Vonnegut?
boy? You ever wanted to disappear?
Nick Stahl calls him like a Quasimodo.
He's like the chief in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I mean,
Yeah.
come on. He has to pretend to be dumb in order to, like, hold on to his individuality in this increasingly,
They
like,
can't
fascist
like
world.
he has to be someone that they literally cannot indoctrinate.
Exactly.
Like UV. Nick Stahl literally is like UV what does he say? The
Pigmentally challenged.
pigmentally challenged. Yeah. They're not gonna absorb Todd. Yeah. It's good
Oh
shit.
yeah.
It's good shit.
And of course, James Marsden's sister in here is played by Catherine Isabel, who who will go on to be a huge figure in cult horror, by starring in Ginger Snaps. Being
I
Ginger.
actually almost watched that today.
It's good.
I've
It's
been
really good.
I've been planning to watch it for a while now, for a while now.
It's really good. She's great in it.
Mm-hmm.
Stars her and I think like Anthony Perkins' offspring.
Mm-hmm. Spring.
I don't know if I'm right or not. She has the last name Perkins. I'm just assuming, as you should with a horror movie. But
The
this movie
Perkins
amazing.
dynasty.
Yeah.
It's like the
Well,
Coppolas. Uh,
I mean, to be a Coppola, you don't have to do anything but hang out with Jason Schwartzman. I think
you don't even have to take the name. You can get rid of the name and you're good to go. Like
just
Nick
change it to
Cage did.
Cage.
Yeah.
Oh man, I really wanted to show this movie to you because it encapsulates everything that I just find so lovable, so affectionate about this era of movies.
Mm.
Um, it's like it's so confident to a fault. Like it believes in itself until the very end.
Yeah, yeah. It's really
Like
endearing. It's a very, very endearing movie in its own weird, nihilistic way. It's very, very endearing. Yeah.
this is probably the most nihilistic out of all of them because Kevin Williamson had that sentimentality. He had a little bit of Spielberg in him. I mean,
Yeah.
if you ask Kevin Williamson who his favorite filmmaker was, he'd tell you it was Steven Spielberg still. Um, but like
I'm-
his stories typically end in a reinvention, reconstruction, triumph for the final girl or whoever is there. Like faculty,
yeah.
everyone comes back to life, and we're a happy fucking school system. The evil blonde girl died. Like we're back. And this one is just pure nihilism. That's why it's more similar to urban legend for me, like structurally for sure.
But yeah, like the end of this movie is that like two high school or like three high schoolers just book it out of their town. They leave their parents behind, who by the way are still normal. And
Yeah,
they leave their parents behind and like, I don't know, they're gonna go to like California maybe because they're in Washington. I don't know. Maybe they'll enroll themselves in. I really in the studio ending where it cuts to like an inner city school. I really thought it was going to be that like a new school they're in, and I'm like, did James Marsden and Katie Holmes just like go to a new town and enroll themselves in a high school without their parents?
no, but that ending stinger that the studio put on is, I love it. I think it's brilliant.
I
That,
prefer the original ending. I think it's stronger, but no, I
oh,
either
no,
way, I like that the ending revolves around Nick Stahl. Either way, I like that.
I get the same emotion from the ending of Disturbing Behavior, only stronger. The same ending from like Urban Legend. Like
Yeah, yeah,
Rebecca
the
Gayheart
stinger
gets to have a
ending.
last laugh, and then Nick Stahl gets to have his. And when I was
If you,
watching it for the first time, I was like, okay, I don't understand what's going on in this scene. It feels so different because Nutter probably didn't even direct it. It's like an inner city. It feels so differently composed, that final scene. But I said to myself, if Nick Stahl walks into this fucking room, the best movie ever, because I didn't see him die. If he walks into this room, it's my favorite thing I've ever seen. And he walked in that room, and now I have to live by the promise I made to
I have a good movie for you then. It's called Urban Legend 2: The Final Cut.
myself.
If you want another good stinger scene,
I like those stinger scenes. They're good.
I
I
gotta
haven't
get you
seen
to
Final
watch that
Cut in
movie.
such a long time.
I gotta
Like I
get you to
remember,
watch that. I gotta.
you picked the next movie, so
I might pick it. It's a fun time. I literally think it's the most like one of the most cynical movies of its era. It's incredibly cynical.
I'm
Um,
ready for it. I am ready
a
for
very
it.
enjoyable way. Yeah.
What was your favorite scene in the movie?
In this movie, oh God, I feel like we've covered most of them. I get the one that I wouldn't call it my favorite by any stretch, but more like scenes that linger in my mind uncomfortably. But yeah, the scene with the girl tutoring his sister is like really twisted, and that's the one that like really reoriented how I thought about the movie in general.
Yeah,
Made it a much sadder movie.
I do wish we got more with the sister because she was clearly being preyed upon by the blue ribbons. Like she was
Yeah, like they were
marked with like
setting her
the.
up for it.
Then Lorna
Although they
comes
imply like that they
herself
passed
and
them
is
out
like,
to
"Your
all the
sister's a really special person."
they were saying they were like passing out those ribbons to like all her classmates too. So
They're coming for everybody because it's a school that is like hyper literally made up of blue ribbons, and just a bunch of Outcast fruit.
Hmm. Pretty much.
Yep. This is the skaters over there with their 50-50 nollie grinds on the semi-auto. Like, what are you
And
doing?
two baggy pants, drug of choice, ecstasy.
Ecstasy.
So, what was the nerd ones? They were like drug of choice, new Apple update, or some
Yep.
shit.
Like style of music, the sound of an apple being rebooted or some shit.
Yeah.
And then the blue ribbons, it's like drug of choice, life, the pursuit of happiness, music, the sound of perfection.
It's such a good delivery. I love Nick Stahl. He's great.
And it's
He's really great.
punctuated, like there's a percussion to that monologue because UB is right next to him going like freaks so chic, freaks all weak, freaks are geeks or some bullshit. Like it's brilliant. That scene is the standout scene. Like it might be a movie that peaks 10 minutes in, and that's fine because that's a big scene.
No, it's a
uh,
really great scene. It's a really, really great scene. I like how baffled James Marsden looks during that scene.
yep, yep. Welcome to
Again,
Cradle Bay, Stevie boy.
Stevie Boy, that's what they called him. That's right. The scene later where he's like, "No one calls me Steven."
Yeah, my name is Steve. I wish you went, my name is Stevie boy. No one calls me
Me
Steven.
Steven. No one calls me Steven except the guidance counselor. Yeah.
Oh my god. I think that James Marsden does an excellent job in this movie because when Nick Stahl uh, is basically removed from the
Removed
movie
from the
except for like three
plot.
scenes,
Yeah.
James has to
He
step
carries.
up,
He has to carry it for the rest of it. Yeah, and we've been
and
talking
he
about him
does.
mostly in the abstract, but no, I think he's got a weird kind of nondescript kind of charisma where I'm like, you're definitely not A-list, but I enjoy watching you. You know, you seem like a good dude. I don't know.
I mean, I think the best delivery of the film. I mean, I have to give every barring Nick Stahl. Everything Nick Stahl did was like fucking perfect. But when
Yeah.
James Marsden's actually freaking out on his parents for exiling or for selling him out, he's like, "What about what I want?" Blah blah, like all this stuff with his parents
Yeah,
concerning his
yeah.
brother's death. Like, oh wow, do you get in trouble for bringing up dead family members? Because we sure do around here. Like he's
Yeah,
really
it's
good.
really dark. It's yeah, it's good. It's good. It's really it reminds me of the dinner scene and at the beginning of Donnie Darko, that scene.
Yeah.
Like where you just see like all their shit put on the table.
If you told me Richard Kelly was a fan of this film, I would believe you wholeheartedly.
I buy it.
There's a bit of
Yeah,
that attitude here.
I
There's a
think they
part
came
of
out
Donnie
the same
Darko
year.
that is awkwardly attached to like genre fixtures, like awkwardly attached to it. Like, of
I
course,
th
Donnie Darko's
I think
done
it
in a
came out the
bit more of a
same year.
sophisticated way.
I think it came
Huh?
out at the same year as this.
What did?
Donnie Darko, I think.
I thought Donnie Darko was like 2001.
Oh wait, no, you're right. You're right. I don't know why I thought it was 98. You're right. You're right. Yeah, bigger fan than me.
Disturbing behavior is the real movie. But yeah, but Donnie Darko, I just like it has an awkward devotion or at least affection to genre tropes. Of course,
Without
Richard
really
Kelly plays into
inhabiting.
them differently.
Yeah, it doesn't really inhabit any of them, but you see like the
I feel like the
whispers
film
of them.
wants to inhabit them. Like it wants to so much, but it's like we're doing this instead.
Yeah, it wants to be a genre movie, but it also wants to have like 40% of its runtime be music montages. So,
Yes.
which is why I love
Whereas
it. But
disturbing behaviors music montages
it
he's covered within
synthesizes them.
25,
It
15 seconds.
Yeah, it puts the music montages into the genre scenes. It's very odd. Again, I can't get over that. Like they see something horrible, they're like, "Oh my god!" Like the villain's own daughter has been like experimented on and dumped in this mental hospital, and just goes paranoia. Like
Yeah.
what the fuck?
Paranoia, paranoia.
Yeah,
Everybody's coming to get me.
it's funny. It's especially funny because again, like they just chop up that song and it ends after like under 30 seconds. So it's just to get you to the other side without having to put any other music over it. It's very funny.
Captures the mood perfectly. When I heard that, I got out of my seat and I was like, "Fuck yeah, man! Flagpole sitta."
Right next to Justin.
every time. It's a great film. The Faculty, I mean, it gets rightfully compared to this movie, to The
Hmm.
Faculty, because it came out the same year, and it's like they're both like sci-fi, almost slasher adjacent films. They're very hip and cool. It's just that Kevin Williamson was aiming for something wild. Like that's one of your best analyses when you were like talking about the weaponization of these tropes in The Breakfast Club and like how they turn on each other because they don't fit the tropes and that or they were doing things against their archetype, and that the ultimate villain of that movie is the one person who doesn't have an analog in The Breakfast Club. Like it's all
Yeah.
weapons. This one
I
is uninterested in those postmodern flares, those concepts. It just wants to give you a punch in the face, really.
it's a movie that I would any day like watch at like a midnight screening. I think it's designed
Yeah,
not I'm kind of like averse to like the culture of like, you know, mockingly going to midnight movies. Like like I don't want to laugh at the movie. I want to actually enjoy the movie just in that
yes,
context. You know what I mean? So like when I say like I think this is a midnight movie, I don't mean like as something to jeer at or to watch like ironically. Like I actually think it's enjoyable to watch like in a Friday night setting type of thing. So
no, absolutely. I have my my viewers to thank for how hyper focused and obsessed I've become with this movie because when I started the new postmodern arc like 10 months ago of just doing these very specific 90s American teen movies,
what
I
they
would
just
get
come to you with Rex.
this one. This would be the one they'd comment on it. They had a recommendation. They'd always ask if I liked disturbing behavior. Did you like disturbing behavior? And I thought that I had seen it because the poster and so many things about it seem so nondescript. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure I watched it. Whatever.
Yeah.
But I
It has
didn't. I
that
never
vibe.
did. But they knew I'm like a huge Katie Holmes fan and a fan of this like movement.
Mhm.
And I'm so happy to the viewers convinced me to watch it like over a 10-month period. That's how long it normally takes me to watch recommendations. You have to keep beating me over the head with them until I
Yeah.
actually do it. And I'm so happy I
Unless
did.
you're
It's a cult movie. Like people
unless
do
you're me,
right.
and
Yeah,
then you're contractually obligated to watch whatever I say, no matter how bad it is.
exactly. That is very true. Very fucking true. Butterfly Murders.
If I wanted to, I could say my next movie pick is Twin Peaks: The Return, and you have to watch all 18 hours of it
You'd get there and it'd be like, so Jake, I'm gonna level with you. I'll watch the first episode.
again.
Okay, well, no, I would have to do it. Contractually obligated,
Yeah.
just like you would be to watch Dawson's Creek.
Oh shit.
Don't do
No.
that.
No. There you go. That's much worse than mine.
Yeah, those are 23 episode seasons. Test
No,
me.
I'm 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 watching enough TV as it is. I'm watching a show for the first time in 5 years. That's enough for me.
Oh my god! But this movie does have a pretty um they're not a very loud cult following, but my God, they're there. Like if you go to certain boards and like very certain like specific people, like this movie is worshipped on very unseen parts of the internet. Like I don't know, like it's beyond the dark web. They're in the light. I just can't exactly see them. Like people do respond to this movie really well, and I see why. There's so it's one of the most likable movies from this time period because I think that it has to do with it being so genre focused and um, so preoccupied with living up to genre expectations because it's not an entirely unpredictable film. It's like you said, perfect midnight movie. If there's any movie to show at midnight from this wave of 90s postmodern movies, it's this one because it's the easiest to cheer with. It's the easiest to to laugh along
Yeah.
with and even get
Yeah.
invested in because the best midnight movies have those little like Rod Serling-esque concepts that you can just think about. That you can just have
Yeah.
fun. But did you have any final thoughts on this?
Not that I can think of. Uh,
Uh,
we
did you
should
want?
watch Sonic. I don't know.
Okay,
Sonic the Hedgehog.
I have not seen Sonic the
Me
Hedgehog.
neither. I probably never will, but
I feel like I should
why?
because
Out of
James
respect for
Marsden is
James
shirtless in
Marsden.
it, and we can finally confirm what we've all been thinking. Maybe All right, maybe we shouldn't do last thoughts anymore. It devolves quite quickly.
Dude is 50 and he's making, or almost 50. He's like making movies with Sonic the Hedgehog. It's great.
And he
But
looks
he'll
great doing it.
he's I'm saying he's gonna have his like a first reformed moment or some shit. He's gonna have
Oh,
like
I
a
can't wait.
yeah.
Someone give justice for James Marsden. He's been working his ass off for my entire lifetime.
First Brendan Fraser, then we'll get to James Marsden.
Well, I don't want to see Brendan with his shirt off, bro.
Maybe you don't, but
Isn't his next movie like the Aronofsky? Like
yeah, I don't want to see that
you're
actually. I
gonna see
don't
him with
like
his shirt off. There
Aronofsky.
you go.
I don't like Aronofsky. I'm hoping Brendan Fraser does better later on. I'm hoping this gives him the mean. Anyway, this is irrelevant, but
Yeah, the only Aronofsky movie I like is Pi. And
I
even
like
then,
parts of the
speaking of
fountain.
Jew, and I know he's Jewish, it's pretty insulting. But it works really
Here
well.
we go.
But
Regardless,
thank you for watching this video. Disturbing behavior is quickly becoming a favorite of the channel. And Jacob, I'm just so happy I was able to talk about it with you because this was like one of the ultimate. Once I saw it, I'm like, okay, I gotta show Jacob this. This is what we talk
no,
about.
I'm
This is
glad I
what we
watched it. It was a
do.
good time.
All right,
A
thank you
good
for being
time.
with me, Jacob. Thank
Of
you,
course.
everybody, for watching. Have a good one. Your cult boyfriend. Goodbye.